Hey gorgeous, it's Ker-leen. Thank you for tuning back into my channel. In today's video, I will be going over some of the fragrances I've added to my perfume collection over the last month or month and a half. And I feel like I have a good balance of fragrances here. I have some niche, some designer. And so if you're interested in seeing what I hauled, then please keep watching. Welcome back, friend. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to get into these fragrances with you today. So those of you who may be new here on this channel, I make videos on lifestyle, luxury. I do review videos to include fragrance talk. I also sprinkle in my motherhood journey, my personal life, in my monthly vlogs. So if any of those things interest you, then I would love to have you here. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also be sure to turn on that notification bell so you know exactly when my videos drop. All right, let's get into it. So I was totally influenced to purchase several of these fragrances. A couple of them were fragrances I was just curious about, but most of these were fragrances that I was influenced to buy. And this one was definitely very high on that list. This is Bond No. 9's New Harlem. So I was totally influenced to buy this fragrance. The TikTok and YouTube girlies made me buy it, okay? What intrigued me about this fragrance is I kept hearing maple syrup, and I love pancakes and maple syrup. So I had to go ahead and get this. When Joma Shop had their sale recently, I went ahead and I purchased it. So I'm going to share my thoughts very briefly because this is not a dedicated review, but I'm going to share my thoughts about this fragrance. First of all, they didn't have anything smaller, so I had to get the 3.4 fluid ounce. I typically do not go for this size if there is an option, but there was no other option, so I had to get the largest size. But y'all, this fragrance is very beautiful. Now, the main thing I will say about this fragrance is I was not expecting it to smell as masculine leaning as it does. This is a masculine leaning scent. What I was hearing is that this smelled very sweet, like breakfast, like crumpets, or maple syrup. And while I do agree with that, I feel like this has a more masculine leaning touch. And I think it's due to that lavender note that's in here. So typically when there's lavender in a fragrance, it does lean more unisex, sometimes more masculine. And I feel like this one does that. That being said, this fragrance is very, very beautiful. It's a very silky, sweet fragrance. So that maple syrup that people are smelling is like a silky, smooth sweetness is what I would say. I don't pick up on the coffee note that's in here. I wish I did, but I don't pick up on a ton of coffee. To my nose, this is just like a sweet, very sweet, syrupy fragrance with a light, like clear amber dry down. There's definitely vanilla in here for sure. And yeah, for me, the notes that I'm seeing for this fragrance don't necessarily match what I'm smelling. Like I don't really get like a blast. When I first spray this, I get a heavy dose of lavender, and then I feel like that syrupy sweetness just kicks in right away. I don't really get the bergamot that they say is in the opening of this. I can tell that this has a light woody vibe, so that cedar that's in here, I'm definitely getting that. I'm getting that lavender. I'm getting that vanilla and that amber, like a clear amber. That's what I'm getting from this fragrance. So this is like a clear, syrupy, sweet fragrance with a lavender touch, which makes it slightly more masculine leaning. And yeah, that's pretty much what I smell. I have to experience this a little bit more. Maybe I'll be back with some more detailed thoughts on this, but so far that is what I smell when I put this on. And what I've been doing is I've been using this to layer, and I really, really like this fragrance. So yes, that is Bond No. 9's New Harlem. So speaking about a lavender note, this was another fragrance that I was influenced to purchase that also has a lavender note and is also a little bit more masculine leaning, and that is MFK's Grand Soir. So this does have a lavender note in it, similar to Bond No. 9's New Harlem, except that the lavender note in here does not persist throughout the entire wear, and this does not stay masculine leaning the entire wear. I feel like this is more masculine leaning in the opening, but this dries down to a really creamy, ambery scent that is very warm, sweet, cozy, and resinous. And I love this fragrance because of all the luxe, cozy vibes that it gives. So it gives those luxe nighttime, very wealthy, well-to-do vibes, but it also gets really super cozy and like a warm hug. And I feel like those two elements really makes this fragrance super interesting, and I'm super happy to have it in my collection. So in the opening of this, I do get that lavender note, and then I start to get all of the other beautiful notes almost right away. There's a gorgeous amber in here, of course, that is kind of like a note that's the focal point of this fragrance. There's a labdanum in here, there's a benzoin, tonka bean, and this is just like a textbook amber fragrance. This is what amber should feel like in every fragrance. Very warm, sweet, resinous, very rich, very cozy, very inviting, and slightly creamy, slightly sweet. That's what I feel like amber should feel like in every fragrance, and Grand Soir does exactly that. This is such a luxe fragrance. When I spritz this on, it feels like the warmest, sweetest, coziest, most luxurious hug, and I absolutely love it, and I cannot get enough of this fragrance. And this fragrance is also great for layering because it's a very simple fragrance, not very complex, yet the complexity lies in the way that they did amber in this fragrance, the way the amber was constructed and the way in which it was executed. I feel like that's where the complexity lies, even though the note breakdown doesn't have like all these crazy notes, right? So this is just a beautiful fragrance. I had to have it. When I first smelled this fragrance, I wasn't ready for it. My nose was not ready, but I feel like I'm at the point now where I'm enjoying a lot more warm, rich, heavier scents. And yeah, it was a must-have. The girlies made me do it, the TikTok girlies in particular, but I'm glad they did. I'm glad they influenced me to get this one. The next fragrance is also another influenced purchase, and this one was influenced by one of my new friends over on TikTok. The way that she described this fragrance just made me so curious about it. I just had to go and get my nose on it, and that's exactly what I did. The fragrance I'm talking about is Queening by Mind Games. When she described this fragrance, I immediately, at the next possible opportunity, took myself to Neiman Marcus, looked for this fragrance, and asked for a sample. Now at Neiman Marcus, at least my Neiman Marcus, sometimes they can act like they don't want to give you samples. They're not like Nordstrom, where Nordstrom will give you a sample for almost any fragrance. In my experience, it can be a little bit different at Neiman Marcus. In fact, the first person I asked for a sample of this said that he didn't have the little decant bottles. So I was just walking around sniffing this fragrance on the tester card, and then another gentleman who had a smile on his face, was very warm, asked me if I needed help, and I asked him for a sample of this, and he gave me a sample. He went and hunted down a little decant bottle, gave me a little 2 ml sample. I took it home, and y'all, I think 2 weeks after that, I went back and got this fragrance. Well, hubby got it for me. He enjoyed this fragrance, so that kind of sold him on it a little bit, because the price tag on this is ridiculous. Okay, this is a very pricey fragrance, but this one in particular, when it comes to the house Mind Games, is worth it. It's worth the price point, because this is a truly unique fragrance. I would even say that this is a little complex, and I feel like this is worth it. I've sniffed a lot of the other ones, and they're very similar to other fragrances that I've smelled before or I have in my collection, but Queening is something I've never smelled before. Queening has a cotton flower or a cotton note in the opening, so this is a very fresh, soft, laundry-like scent while also being sweet and creamy. I feel like I cannot do justice to the description of this fragrance, but I will try. So Queening opens up with a cotton flower, there's a cypress, there's an apple, so it opens up with like this cotton essence, this like fresh sheets, clean sheets, laundry-like essence, except that it's not necessarily laundry-like in the sense that you think when you think about laundry and laundry detergent. This is more like the feel of the cotton, the feel, the texture of the fabrics that are in the laundry basket. That's really what the cotton flower does, is it gives this fragrance a soft, fabric-like texture in the opening. The opening is also sweet because it has that green apple. And I don't really detect the cypress that's in here. This just gives me very soft and sweet opening. And then this gets interesting. Then I start picking up on a little bit of that rum note. It's not like a heavy, dense rum. I mostly get a spritz of rum, a very buttery orris. There's an orris at the mid of this, and then a very, very small amount of saffron. So the saffron is not overpowering. It's more of like a sprinkle of saffron. Really, orris is the star of the show at the mid of this fragrance. And then this fragrance starts getting more creamy, more sweet. There's vanilla, there's coconut at the base. And then on the deep, deep dry down of this fragrance, you get a little bit of musk. It stays very soft. It's almost like this caress on your skin. So it's like a soft, buttery, vanillic caress on your skin. This is so good. The coconut that's in here, I feel like just makes this more nuanced, almost like if you've ever had island rice, okay, rice that someone from the islands makes. Sometimes we add coconut milk to our rice to give it more heft, to give it more fullness, more richness. And that's what I feel like the coconut does in here. The coconut in here doesn't give it like a sunscreeny vibe. That couldn't be farther from what the coconut does in here. The coconut in here just gives this a more creamy nuance, makes it a little bit more substantial. It's coconut milk without all of the things that we imagine coconut milk to be. Because a lot of times when coconut is put into fragrances, the perfumers will interpret it as, you know, what we imagine when we think of coconut. So that's where you get like the sunscreen vibes from. You get like this whole beachy essence. When in fact, coconut milk doesn't have like a strong scent. It doesn't have a strong scent or taste. It just has like this subtle nuance to it. In its purest state, it's almost bland. Like when I put it in rice, it doesn't have a strong scent to it. It just adds a thickness and a richness and a heft to my dish, to the rice or whatever I add it to. That's what I feel like the coconut does in Queenie. So anyways, this is not an in-depth review. I just want to let you all know how amazing this fragrance is. And I'm so happy to have this one. It was pricey, so thank you, hubby, for getting this one for me. I'm so happy to have this one. The last two fragrances I have done dedicated reviews on, so I will link them up above, so be sure to click on the links above to watch these videos. I'm just going to mention them here. So the first one is Viktor and Rolf's Flower Bomb Tiger Lily. Y'all, Tiger Lily is so good. So good. So good. This is your creamy mango. It has this designer vibe to it, this designer feel. It's very bright, it's very uplifting, it's creamy, it's sweet, it's feminine, slightly sexy. This is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I love it. Yes, it smells designer, but it's good. It smells absolutely amazing. Compliment getter for sure. I love it. I'm gonna wear it out. This is going to be probably one of the bottles that I empty because it's that good. And the performance is very nice as well. So check out my reviews where I talk all about this fragrance. This is Flower Bomb Tiger Lily. This last one is a very new addition to my collection, and this is the only fragrance that I have from this line of fragrances, and this is Miss Dior The Parfum version. I don't have any of the previous Miss Dior's. In fact, whenever I've smelled them, they never quite appealed to me. Not because they weren't beautiful fragrances, but just not for me. And the ones that I smelled in stores smelled very heady, very floral, very headache inducing. Whereas this one was a blind buy for me, so I was a little nervous that it would be the same type of experience, but it was not. And to my surprise, this fragrance blew me away. For me, this fragrance is a very high projecting fragrance that lasts a very long time on my clothes. I love the performance of this, and I love that I can adjust the performance. So if I don't want it to be beast mode, I can put 2 sprays on and go about my business. But if I want this to really project and last a long time, I will give it anywhere between 7 to 10 sprays, maybe more, depending on my mood that day. So this fragrance is a beautiful fragrance. I love the apricot in the opening. The strawberries at the mid of this, really the strawberries is what sold me on this fragrance. And then this fragrance has like this beautiful light crisp cedar wood. This has amber at the base. The nose on this fragrance is Francis Kurkdjian, and his fragrances are so elegant, particularly the ones that have floral notes. Like I'm Family's Femme and Femme Pluriel. Those are the vibes for this fragrance. Very feminine, very sweet, very fruity, yet not overly fruity, not juvenile, not overly sweet, very grown up, feminine, sophisticated. That's what I get from this fragrance. I love that it stays playful and youthful because of those fruits, but it's also like a grown-up, more elevated, fruity floral with those subtle, witty tones. This is such a beautiful fragrance. I've done a review on it, so feel free to go and check out my review on Miss Dior Parfum. And if you're still here, thank you so much for still being here. If this video was helpful or enjoyable for you, then give it a like on your way out. And also, if you enjoy fragrance content, I make quite a lot of it on this channel, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. Oh, and one other thing, if you have any of these fragrances or if any of them are on your wish list, let us know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on these fragrances, and if you don't have anything to say, simply leave me an emoji in the comments so that I know you were here. Thank you so much for being here. Before I leave you today, I just want to remind you to keep shining, keep smiling, keep showing up. That's the most important thing, is that you keep showing up. Keep showing up for yourself, keep showing up for your loved ones, and keep showing up as your authentic self. I feel like that is the foundation. Those are the key ingredients. If we keep showing up and we keep showing up as our authentic selves, and we keep showing up with the intention to serve others, then everything else that we need, God is going to add. We just have to be looking to Him to add those things. I will be over here doing the exact same thing. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.